please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, please.
Alderman Rose. Here. Alderman Ross.
Here.
Alderman Rucker.
Here.
Alderman Schuman.
Here.
Alderman Hoffman.
Here.
Mayor Harmonson.
Here.
Alderman Osteen.
All right. Moving on to citizens' communication. This is the time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and board on any topic that is not a public hearing. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Visitors attending via online will be in listen-only mode. Any questions or comments for the mayor and board may be sent to the city clerk at tberreth@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. on the board meeting day, the first and third Thursday each month, and beginning at 5:30 in January. Submitted questions and comments may be read during the citizens' communications section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take any action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen welcome and value input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone here in person who would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Has the board had a chance to review the minutes from the December 7th, 2023 meeting and the bills list December 21st, 2023? If there's no comments or questions, do I have an approval?
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Ross. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. All right, we have quite the list tonight. First, we're going to move for unfinished business. This is City of Osage Beach, the fiscal year 2024 operating budget, total proposed draft, version 3. Budget expenditures for fiscal year 2024 are $45,472,158. City Administrator Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board, we did put another public hearing on just in case there was public or comments, because there were some changes to draft version 2 that had the first reading, so.
Okay, and again, this is the public hearing part. We're going to be talking about it at the board, but is there anybody here from the public who would like to address the board on this matter? All right, since nobody's here to address the board, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, public hearing is closed. Now, Bill 23-90, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, adopting an annual budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2004, and appropriating funds pursuant to thereto. Second reading, Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. So the changes in summary, which I'm sure you guys are all aware of, were funding the 2 positions that were originally taken out of draft version 2. The other thing, there was 10 different capital projects / items that were also removed. I went ahead and put 2 columns, draft version 2 versus the amended draft version 3. And I know that you see a pretty large difference. There was a few capital projects that affected restricted, changes to the airport fund, also made changes to the transportation fund and less transfers needed. I'll be happy to go into more detail, but these support the changes that you all had made and the new dollar amount that the second reading is supporting.
All right, thank you. Comments from the board, questions? Alderman Ross.
So I just want to bring up one, and that is what was the late ad, and I realize it was a late ad because we just found out about the grant that was approved that Mike sent the email out about.
Okay.
So the question, based on Mike's email, there's some questions that I have, and I'm just trying to understand what all does this thing involve? What is it going to be? Is it kind of work for us, number one? You talk about temporary lanes on the west side. Originally when some of these ideas were brought up, I had some concerns with those. What can you tell us about it at this point? I realize it's early on.
Thank you, Alderman Ross. Well, first of all, I do want to make it clear the $1 million grant has been in the budget since we applied, since the first draft of the budget. So that was not a late ad. That has been in the
My
budget
mistake.
the entire time. This is a research grant that will pilot some bike lanes on the west side of the parkway, as well as some other streets that are still yet to be determined. It will also provide research for the possibility of future pedestrian bridges, future sidewalks, future trails, and possibly even changes to, our street or our street system in the future. It will, in the end, it will provide us with a report and a design, conceptual design that will hopefully provide us with some safety improvement projects related to transportation for years and years to come. But you are correct. Part of this grant will be the city making some temporary changes to the west side. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, because I haven't really dove into this grant. We just found out that we got it, and I will be going to a class in January to learn a lot more about exactly how this process is going to work. But the way I summarized it in my email is basically the way it will go. I will have to go and do some administrative training on this, which will turn into a grant application that will come before the board at some point, most likely early in the first quarter. That grant application will then turn into us doing an RFQ to find an engineering firm that will assist us with this grant, which will then, of course, come to the board for approval, and then that will kick everything off. I know this grant has a deadline. I think it's 3 years, so we will get started this year. Whether or not we do the whole thing this year I don't know yet. I think I've basically told you everything I know at this point.
Okay, so the temporary closing of lane, is that a 1 or 2 lanes? Do you have any idea yet on the parkway?
I don't, you and I talked earlier today.
Right. I've heard since that it might be 2.
I don't know if it is just going to be a portion of 1 lane that we put down some reflective material on and do some kind of pilot for bike traffic, or if it is going to be where we shift all the traffic over a lane and we use 4 lanes for traffic, and then have the lane on the state park side between KK and Nichols as some type of bike lane where we put barriers up. I don't know.
Whatever it is, it'd be temporary, is that right?
Yeah.
So you're thinking a week, 2 weeks, a month? What do you have any idea?
Well, your engineering report is going to determine this. This was part of the things that would happen with this. So once you hire the next step, according to the acceptance email I got, we still have to do some approval processes through the federal. This was part of Biden's U.S. Safer Street Infrastructure Act. And so by us hiring and getting those pieces, that's then what will materialize what is tangible change and what is conceptual design change for the longer period.
Okay. And we'll move forward. I think it's good that we get some of these specifics out front and before people get surprised. But at the end of the day, I've heard that possibly we're going to close 2 lanes, okay, which that one really caught me off guard. When I originally think of bike lanes, I think of what I've seen in other cities of, and I don't know if they're 3 foot wide or what they are, but a little stripe down the edge of the road and the bikes stay over to the right. I think I've seen them in Jeff City, for example, downtown maybe, or something like that. I never imagined that they were going to be full lanes, so.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
It's still to be determined because you guys will have different approval processes through this. This is very infancy stage. So there will be different approval stages at the board level.
And then we're going to do all the administration, is that right?
Yes.
So do we have any idea what kind of workload that would be?
Nope.
Not yet. No, sir.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thanks.
I will add one more thing to that. In the budget, and I know Mike had put that the it's a $1 million project grant, the grant part's 800,000. The application was $1 million. The $200,000 match in the budget, I have supported 150 of city net funds with an anticipation of 50,000. So should that change, should the party that had kind of spearheaded this with the city, there could be changes in the budget. But as the budget sets, it's that 200,000 match split, 150 city and 50 with the other party.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Rucker.
This was what we approved a number of months ago to apply for.
Yeah, Resolution 2023-3 was provided along with the grants showing support from the board.
Right, okay.
I knew that.
Any other comments or questions? Alderman Hoffman.
Just new to the process, so sorry if this is a silly question, but do we have the ability to stop anything moving, like if we're okay today and then when this comes out, we don't want to shut down 2 lanes, we only want to shut down 1, do we have the ability to still stop it?
Again, like I said, there'll be different layers of authority come back to the board. We still will have to sign, just like we do with aviation grants, a contract with U.S. Department of Transportation or whoever that source is. It's obviously funding through the state. So there'll be different obligations or authority level at the board. And again, when you hire the vendors to help make this happen, those are the planning pieces. So those
These are all
different
designs.
levels.
These are all plans. These are not permanent things that are going to happen.
Right, but part of what we have asked, or what has been asked for, is to do some tangible things in applying for this grant. But like Mike said, there's a process now that everybody has to go through, and there will be different levels. This will be brought to the board for further decisions.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions?
No, I was just going to make a comment, I'll be anxious to see the logistics of exactly the measurements, because a bike lane doesn't have to be the same width as a car lane, obviously. And I don't know if we need 2 lanes, 1 on each side. Anyway, I'll just be anxious to see that and look at it very carefully. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Rucker.
Yes, now that we're through that process and the board has had opportunity to speak on the budget, I have some things I'd like to say about it. I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I did have opportunity to listen to the meeting. And I have a couple of things. First of all, Gina, on the marijuana tax, there's not a line item in the budget?
It is included in the general fund line item with the other sales tax, because right now we don't want to identify the different sources. So the increase to the tax line item included the additional estimate for the marijuana tax.
Okay, I'd like to further some discussion on this. Number one, we have 3 dispensaries in town?
2.
2.
Okay,
One just opened.
we have Latitude
And codes.
and what?
Codes.
And is that the one on the right-hand side going that way before you get to Walmart?
No.
No, this is the one over by Casey's down on the, before you get to the,
Well, wait, I can only hear one at a time.
you know where Panera is? It's up from that on the opposite side of Panera.
Right across from Andy's, if that helps.
Right across
Yeah,
from
across
Sam's.
from Andy's, okay, that one's there. Well, what about the one on, right before the boat place on the Parkway there?
So we have several other locations that sell cannabis and other like materials, but they are not a dispensary in the level of that product.
Okay, sorry for this further questioning, but I thought, my memory, and that's maybe not right, I thought when we passed this tax that it was for recreational marijuana and other paraphernalia stuff, and I'm not a user, so I'd have no idea, but my little brain thought it was like pipes or things that,
Just the product.
so it's just the
marijuana.
product.
With THC.
Yeah.
So the
When we say marijuana, we are assuming it's the THC. Otherwise, cannabis or CBD is the distincting between the two. So it's just the marijuana of.
Dispensaries sell product, whether it's medical or otherwise, that contain THC. The place that, the old Be Abouts just sells CBD stuff.
Okay, so we only have one, and so, now, further to.
One just opened, codes just opened, so we have officially 2 that are licensed with the state.
Oh, we do have 2
Yes.
now. Okay, well, then I guess we will eventually put a line item. And the only reason I delve into this is because I didn't know if it was legally something we couldn't do or if it was just something we felt was a good business practice. Because, as a follow-up, according to social media, and we all know social media is not etched in stone, but according to social media, a couple weeks ago, it was reported that the Camden County reported on their income from a marijuana facility, and they only have 1. And so they are doing this. Now, I don't know that they're, I mean, I'm not saying they're doing it right. I'm not saying it's legal. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here that we've chosen not to, and they've chosen to. Somebody's not right.
I can answer that. So Carrie Bell and I, behind the scenes, are absolutely tracking the specifics, but we have a legal obligations. There's 3 employees at the city that have confidential access to the individual tax information from our businesses. And we, us 3, have a legal obligations to not define or identify their gross sales. So we take very serious the implication of doing that. Some things are public record, they may choose to do that, but I will tell you, the signing of documents I have done, I will do what I can to not confidentially share private businesses' gross sales. We are tracking it when we get to a point where we feel that it's not as identifying on our public documents, like as our budget, then we have talked about how we will separate that and show that, but for the time being, it is included in our sales tax, and I will say the details are it's just not, can't
Okay.
be made public.
I just wanted to question because I knew the other public entity is not, so.
Their prerogative.
That's right, that's right. Okay. Second of all, I want to thank the board for supporting the street sweeper. I'm 110% behind that, and I very much appreciate the fact that that was successfully passed. I'm not as pleased with some of the other items that didn't pass, but those items can come up at a later point in time when I have some more research to do and possibly be coming back asking the board for reconsideration for some of these items. Because we do have to remember, vehicles can take us and have taken us quite some time. And the fact that not replacing some of the vehicles when we have the funds available to do that, I've always been and still continue to be opposed. The pump truck, for example, I realize that's in the budget, so that is still there, and I will tell you, I will be fighting tooth and nail to get it, because that pump truck to our sewer department is like a fire truck to a fireman, and believe me, I have passion for that. I want to make sure when they go out and get ready to do their job, they have good, reliable equipment, and we do not have a good, reliable pump truck, and so therefore, that's something we need to consider. Lastly, before I get off my soap, is the fact that the 2 positions that were put back into the budget, I have concerns about the communications position or whatever that's called. I don't feel it's a full-time position. I don't know what the position is, to be very honest. And I guess I go back to a number of years ago when a couple of board members brought up that they wanted to do an economic specialist person. I didn't have too much to say about it, surprisingly enough. I know that's probably hard for people to realize. I was quiet on it because I didn't know anything about it. And I sat back and listened to why we should do it. And then finally it came down to our city administrator saying to the board, tell me what you want this position to do. And that was echoed exactly at the last board meeting. You know, it's a position that the board wanted then. The board expressed the position of the economic developer, specialist or whatever, and we went to work and that position was created. It was created correctly, and I believe that needs to be done the same way it was before. We don't need a person that is not certified in that position. That's another battle we'll have on the board later on. But I guess I charge the board with what Gina asked, and that is, what is it that we want this position of communication specialist or net, whatever we're going to call that person, what do we want them to do? Because I don't know what there is that they need to do. And I guess, Justin, I would ask you, because I know this has been something you've spoke about quite extensively. So I don't need an answer now, but I would ask you to present in writing, what that position, what are we not doing that position needs to be hired to do? And that's what we, that's what we need. That's what we did when we did the economic specialist to.
Okay, we will,
what's what.
all right, I'm sorry, but we're not going to go back and forth with the board. This is as far as Bill 2390 tonight, of the passing of the second reading. All of that will be in the budget or not in the budget, but then we can debate later what that position is. But I'm suggesting we don't have that conversation up here on the dais back and forth.
Well, first of all, you guys debated it at the last meeting. Okay? So that's fine. I wasn't planning on debating it tonight, but you did debate it at the last meeting.
Yes, whether to put it in the budget or not, so yes.
That's part of the budget, and that's part of if I would like to make an amendment or not to the budget, sir. So I
And you're
believe
welcome to do that, yes.
that the discussion that I'm bringing up forth is within line and is part of the discussion that needs to be had right now. Thank you. I think that we need to look at that position, because even though it is still in the budget, I don't believe it should be. But I will defer to the fact of the other folks here that supported that, which is the rest of the board, and just ask you if you could help out me as well as our city administrator. What is it that we need to have done that when we hire that person, they will do? And I think that was echoed at the last meeting. So I think that with that being said, I can't support that position, not at this point. But I do believe keeping it as a line item is not going to hurt anything, because we have not approved the position. We've not approved the rest of the documents. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on Bill 2390, second reading? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Schuman, roll call, please.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen.
All right, Bill 23-90 passes. Next, we'll move on to Bill 23-85, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, approving an extension of time to acquire certain property under the redevelopment agreement between the City of Osage Beach, Missouri and Lakeport Village, LLC, the second reading. City Attorney Cole Bradbury, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. I have nothing further to add from our last discussion 2 weeks ago, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Board have any comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
So move.
Alderman Rose, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, roll call, please.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
All right, Bill 23-85 passes. Next, we have Bill 23-86, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission block grant agreement with Lee C. Fine Airport Layout Plan Update Project. Second reading, Assistant City Administrator Mike Weldy, please.
Mayor, members of the board, I have nothing further to add unless there's any questions. I do recommend approval.
All right, anything from the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading? Alderman Rucker.
Approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
All right, Bill 23-86 passes. Next, we have Bill 23-87, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley for consulting services at the Lee C. Fine Airport for airport layout plan update project for an amount not to exceed $481,000. Second reading, Airport Manager Ty Dinsdale, please.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Nothing further unless we have any questions.
All right, anything from the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rose, roll call, please.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
All right, second reading, 23-87 passes. Next, we have Bill 23-88, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission Stock Block Grant. That's not real easy to say. Agreement for the Grand Glaze Airport Layout Plan Update Project, second reading. Is this still you, Ty? Is this you, Mike?
Back and forth, sorry.
All right. This you, Dale?
Mayor and members of the board, I have nothing further to add. I do recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, roll call, please.
Alderman Morose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
All right, Bill 23-88 passes. Last item on our unfinished business is Bill 23-89, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Crawford, Murphy, and Tilly for consulting services at the Grand Glaze Airport for an airport layout plan update project for an amount not to exceed $481,000. Second reading, tied in still.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Nothing further on this either unless we have any questions.
All right, anything else from the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve second reading?
So move.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Schuman. Roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Morose.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
All right, Bill 23-89 passes. First item under new business is an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 22-94, adopting the 2023 annual operating budget transfer of funds for necessary expenditures. First and second reading. Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. This is kind of a close-up for the end of the year. Several of these items were carryovers and/or things that have already been approved, and either I didn't get them to you timely or waited till the final numbers come in. Another couple of things, like when it come to the TIFs or the component units, good thing is, we had an increase in revenue, but there also increased our expenses. So state statutes requires budget amendments at the end of the year should the entire fund be over on expenses, and so that was the case with the component units, but the revenue was also over that. So I do recommend approval, and I go in more detail if there's a specific line item you have a question on.
All right, board have any comments or questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, first reading passes. Second reading, same bill, 23-91, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance number 22-94, adopting the 2023 annual operating budget, transfer of funds for necessary expenditures, second reading. Any more questions, comments? Do I have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Morose.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
All right. Bill 23-91 passes first and second reading. Next, we have an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to sign a contract with Four Seasons Plumbing to complete the lift station rehab 2023 project for an amount not to exceed $224,080. First reading. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. We bid this project out in October. The bids were opened on November the 30th. We did receive 2 bids. The low bid was from Four Seasons Plumbing. The city has done several smaller projects with Four Seasons Plumbing, and they've gained a very good reputation with us. We're comfortable with them doing this project. The project was originally budgeted in 2023. It was originally also included the Rockway project, which we kind of broke out after what happened with that earlier in the year, and just bid this separately. Both of these stations, 62-3 and 24-1, are on the top of our priority list to rehab because they do have extensive corrosion and pipe degradation, and we really need to take action quickly to avoid any problems with this station. The low bid was a combined $224,080. The combined budget for this project was $274,620. So we are significantly under budget for this project. I do recommend approval. Welcome, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Welty. Board have any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, second, Alderman Rucker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, pass 23-92 passes first reading. Next, just for a note before I read it, there was a clerical error on, it's 233 rather than 203,000 on this next one. So
The
what?
ordinance is correct, but the summary sheet.
Right, the ordinance is correct on your second page. The summary sheet and the agenda shows 203,304. It's actually 230,304. So with that being said, Bill 23-93, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Thomas Construction Company for the Parks and Maintenance Building restroom addition for an amount not to exceed $230,304. Comments or questions from the board? Oh, I'm sorry. You want to talk, Mike?
He doesn't have to.
We already talked about it today.
First of all, that's my mistake. I do apologize. Thanks for pointing that out to the board. So this is a project that was originally bid over the summer with the other bathroom improvements that we were originally going to do with the Public Works building. That bid came in very high, and we had decided to reject it at the time. So we later kind of decided to kind of go a different direction over with the Public Works stuff, and so we bid this out separately with the hope that we could still get this piece of it done. We did only receive the one bid. That bid is attached, and I just believe the price is too high for this project. At this time, I would recommend that the board not award this contract, reject the bid, and allow staff to do some more research. We need to figure out why we can't get some of the smaller contractors in town to bid on this. Now, I have some ideas on that. I know Cochran has some ideas on that. I've spoke with some board members that have some ideas on that. But I think that if we do some more research, we can find a way to get this done within the budget that we have for it. So that's my comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I want to clarify, like what Mike says. A motion that fails is basically rejecting the bid.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Hoffman.
Opposite of what you're used to.
What is the original budget?
107.
So it's almost double,
Yes, sir.
Over double.
over double. Well, with the 233, it's over double, yeah.
230. Yeah,
230, okay.
230,034.
And if I can add to that, Mike and I've had some conversations about how to, what might be holding up. Some of it might be some legal requirements, and how to essentially establish a small project bidding process that would accommodate some of these, that might make it more accessible to contractors who are not used to bidding, meeting the highly technical requirements of some of our larger bids. Those highly technical requirements are important for street projects, public works projects, but when we're just talking about like a bathroom, we don't probably need quite the level of technicality, but that we're still effectively requiring some of that out of our bidders, and that's running off, we think, or we suspect, some of the potential bidders that might come in and do this project more economically.
All right. Alderman Ross.
I'll tag on to what Cole said. I happened to ask Mike for the construction drawings, and what I got was the project manual. It's 112 pages long to build a bathroom. And I can't see anywhere it says where to put it and how big to build it. So there's even more that needs to go in there. These are what I would call specifications in our bidding processes. So I think hopefully there is an opportunity to reduce the process and get some smaller folks involved. But to add one question to Gina, So you're saying that we should have, for lack of a better term, a negative motion? Because I didn't think that usually works with
No,
Paul. Okay, I
that's
didn't
what I
understand
was
what you
trying
said.
to avoid, you know.
Okay.
Positive motion, but no votes.
Okay, fair enough.
So somebody makes the motion and then nobody votes for it.
Got it.
That's what I was trying to avoid, like, don't make a motion to reject, because the bill in front of you either needs to be
Now I understand.
awarded or not.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments? Alderman Rucker.
Just to add to it, one of the things, Cole, that you might want to consider is the fact that the insurance requirements, that
Been discussed.
I mean, I realize it is what it is, what we have, but maybe we need to consider changing that for projects of smaller dollar amounts in general, not just, but in general, so.
Mike and I have kicked around some ideas. Insurance is one of the things, bonding. There's, I mean, several things, and yeah, to Alderman Ross's point, I mean, I think 112 pages is probably gonna be very off-putting for a project of this size, to anybody who doesn't have a software or something else that does most of this for them. So, yeah, insurance, prevailing wage, some of the other, you know, once we get under the prevailing wage line, a couple of other things we've discussed. To Mike's credit, Mike brought it up, and identified a lot of those issues, and it's on our list.
Motion to accept the bids.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
All right. Motion does not pass. All right, next we have Bill 23-94, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Ballparks National to manage the hardball fields at the City of Osage Beach City Park and adjacent concession stand, the ball field complex, for a term to commence February 1, 2024 and conclude October 31, 2024. This is the first and second reading. Parks and Recreational Manager Eric Gregory, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. In review, Ballparks National approached the city back in July with a proposal to take over the management of the sports complex at City Park. Per this proposal, Ballparks National would take over coordinating tournament bookings, rentals for the fields, Little League scheduling, rec sports leagues, adult leagues, youth camps, and management of the concession stand from, as you said, February 1st to October 31st, 2024. In exchange, Ballparks National will pay $65,000 as rent to the city for the ball field complex for the initial term, 50% due on February 1st. The remaining 50% will be due no later than June 30th. In addition, the city shall receive 5% of gross revenue from the concession stand and 5% of gate fees collected. As you know, per the board's approval, an RFP was sent out in October, and Ballparks National was the only organization that submitted a bid. Since that time, Cole was able to put together a contract with input from myself, Gina, and Mike, and was able to put something together that was agreeable to both parties. Thank you again, Cole, for working so hard on that. I know it was not simple. So, as your parks manager, it's my opinion that this could be a very good partnership for the city. Some positives: the city will receive payment if the fields are rented or not. I'd like to point out that this summer we had 5 tournaments canceled at the last minute because they didn't have enough people sign up, which we have no control over. Another positive is Ballparks National has a much larger staff and can market the complex better than we can to fill more weekends. We do not, if we agree to this, we do not have to staff the concession stand or keep up with inventory. And I will tell you, staffing was a big challenge this past summer, and it was difficult to find seasonal help, and I don't see that changing going into next year. And lastly, and most importantly, this will allow the parks team to concentrate on park improvement projects and smaller special events that cater to our local community, which is very important to me. This is, of course, an overview of the proposed contract. It does outline more specifics. As you know, you have it as part of your packet. Points out responsibilities of both parties. I'll not go over everything in the interest of time. Honestly, I say we give it a try for a season. I do recommend approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And I think we do have members from ballparks here, can answer questions as well.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sorry?
I'd like to add.
Yes, go ahead.
So I got a question from one of the members of the board this afternoon, so I just want to share that answer with everybody. What you have in front of you is the bid from Ballparks National, and then beginning on page 295 of your packet, you have our proposed ballpark management agreement. Ballparks National's council has reviewed this. We have reached an agreement on these terms. This is probably, this is the most detailed one that I've written for the city in my 10 months here, and one of the more oddball ones that I've had to write in my career. For the simple reason that typically, this is a kind of a lease. We are kind of leasing our ballpark complex, our ball field complex to Ballparks National. Typically in a lease, most are triple net, but there's other types, but you're handing over a premises and you're saying, you're gonna pay me this for the use of this premises. And that's that. And there are terms on what you can do with it and what condition you have to give it back to us in and that kind of thing. This is really they're going to be using it, but we're still gonna have access to it. We're gonna be working alongside them. We're operationally still doing certain things for the ball fields, setting the fields during the week, things like that. So there is a lot of detail in here, and probably there could be a lot more. We pushed hard to get this on this agenda. Ballparks National was very keen on being able to begin to market this for tournament signups and whatnot. So I want to compliment Mike and Gina and Eric for really putting their noses to the grindstone on getting some of these details hashed out as far as what this all looks like. We have tried to think of everything. I promise you we did not. There's going to be something in here that we will probably have missed, and it's because we've never done this before, and we can't predict the future. That said, I think I do agree with Eric. I think this is worth trying for a year, and there will be a learning curve with it. And it will be something that the board can reevaluate in the fall, and hopefully it's been a great success by that point. And if not, if there's anything, if there's been any points that we've learned on, we can reevaluate those at this time. So those are my comments on the contract. Like I said, it is excruciatingly detailed. It is 13 pages, and it could probably be 33 if we really wanted it to be. So I know we've had several meetings with Jeff and his team. Actually, the point I wanted to make when I started talking was the agreement that begins on 295 is not quite the same as their bid. They bid wanting certain things, and there's been some back and forth and some give and some take. So what they proposed in their bid, we did not accept all of. The question that was actually posed to me this afternoon was their bid included them charging for parking. The city explained that we were really uncomfortable with that. Operationally, Eric was very uncomfortable with that. Really, the only issue that I still have a little bit of heartburn on, and I just want to bring to the board's attention, we do have it covered in here, but the bathrooms are within the leased premises. And the Ballparks National under the agreement is allowed to charge a gate. We are still requiring them to make those bathrooms available for the public. So for somebody who's at the fishing pond, a parent who takes their children to the playground, they still have to be allowed in, and Ballparks National is aware of that. But that's one of the odder quirks of this agreement, because our only bathrooms currently are within what would be the gate area. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, make sure the board was aware of that. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Comments or questions from the board? Alderman Hoffman.
Where's the collection spot for the gate?
I think, per our conversation, you have 3 access points to the baseball fields, and I believe that if approved, Ballparks National will set up staff at each of those access points. Was that the conversation we had? Yeah.
Or potentially close one, just
Yes,
barricade
potentially
one.
close one and just have 2 entry points.
So we're not collecting fees right when you come down the hill and enter the park.
That was our heartburn over the parking.
And 2, I just want to know what the impact is to our local Little League kids.
Well, to clarify, that's part of this contract. Ballparks National would take over coordinating the Little League. So there's no impact. We emphasize that fees would not be increased. We still offer reduced pricings for low-income families, so that's part of the contract.
Did it change the dates that they play their games or anything?
No, they're going to proceed, I believe, with the same partnership we had with Camden last year, unless something's changed. Yes.
And you guys will be running the umpires? Correct. Which is good.
There's a full page dedicated to Little League. And there's probably some other stuff that's Little League relevant in other parts of it, but there's an entire one-page section just discussing Little League. And we made excruciatingly clear, I think, in the RFP, that Little League was sacred.
Okay. Excellent.
Thing I
Thank
will
you.
point out also, city events have already set aside per the contract, so that's not going to change. Our food truck festivals, our fall festival, Easter egg hunt, everything will be the same. And then there will be a certain amount of time set aside for public access to the baseball fields.
Minimum 1 day a week.
Yes.
And if there's nothing scheduled within 7 days, it reverts to public use.
And to emphasize, this is just for City Park. Peanic Park will still be available for public use.
All right. Alderman Rucker.
Phyllis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
before me.
Alderman Rose.
I have a question, and I'm not in the insurance business, and this may be a silly question, but I'm always concerned about being covered. Would we, as a city, be named as additional insured? Because I didn't see it on this, and that's what I was wondering. I thought we should, since we own the property.
Very top of page 302.
Okay, then I missed it.
Operator shall cause city to be named as
I'm
additional
sorry,
insured.
I did miss that.
It's in-
And I
It's in all of our
presume,
contracts.
and I presume that the proceeds that we would get, the percentage or whatever, that we could earmark it with our revenue for the park to say this is ballpark or whatever.
The revenue generated, regardless whether we do it on our own for collect fees or they do, that goes to our general fund, outlined as park fees. So in your budget is your spending plan. So revenue generation and revenue direction does not change because we're still municipal in how we collect those revenues. It's
Okay.
just coming through different channels, but when it refers to the budget or once it hits our bank, nothing changes than what normal business is.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Alderman Rucker.
Yes, I would just, I have some concerns, but I'm willing to support it and move forward. But I would ask for, I would suggest a couple things and demand one. Suggestion is that we, as both sides, everybody take notes and jot those things down so we can see. I demand or request a demand, or I don't know how to make it, I want Eric to give us a report at a given length of time. This event starts in April? Is that when it starts?
For the terms of the contract, February 1st.
February, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
It starts February and it's over in October.
End of October.
I would like for every couple months, at the least, for you to bring something to the board, everything's going fine or not. I would like to
Progress.
keep abreast of it so that if there's something, that does pop up, we can be aware of it. And if we need to step in to make some changes so it don't continue, because as we said, this is the first time through. But I would like to see that, not just all of a sudden us not hear anything until the season's all over, and then they're, oh, well, we had a problem back, blah, blah, blah. So I would just like to get
Updated.
that out there so that we can keep abreast of it. No, thank you.
That's a good idea.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Ross.
I just have one question. If we're going to control the gate, and is there going to be any modifications made, physical modifications made down there to control the access and the, quote, to collect the gate?
We had discussed, since again, there's 4 access points actually, about closing off the access with fencing between field 2 and 3, just so they don't have to staff so many points of entry.
And so who's paying for that?
We have materials on hand to do it.
Okay.
There would be no cost.
All right, that's all I have, thanks.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve first reading?
Motion approved.
Alderman Ross. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Morose. All those in favor?
Aye.
All All right, first reading passes. Second reading, same bill, 23-94, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Ballparks National to manage the hardball fields at the Osage Beach City Park and adjacent concession stand. The ball field complex for a term to commence February 1, 2024 and conclude October 31, 2024. Second reading. If there's no further comments or questions, do you have a motion to approve second reading?
Motion.
Alderman Schuman. Second, Alderman Rucker. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yes.
Alderman Osteen. Alderman Morose.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Rucker.
Yes.
Alderman Schuman.
Yes.
All right, second reading passes. Did a good thing tonight. Thank you.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Yes, thank you.
Don't let us down.
Yes. All right. Next, we have a resolution, 2023-05, a resolution of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, reappointing to the Board of Directors the Osage Beach Commons Community Improvement District, Richard Ross, Alderman, and non-city directors Cyrus Beckham and Tim Lowe. This says Tara on here. You good to talk about it?
Yeah, okay. Yes, Mayor, members of the board, I was asked by Osage Beach Commons to bring to you need reappointments for the OB Commons Improvement District. And I guess as city clerk, I am supposed to, which I just found out.
It's a new agreement.
It's a new one. All of CIDs and TDDs and NIDs and all everything else, I get to, get renewals put together. So I need you guys to do a resolution to reappoint these members to these boards. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but there's really no questions
Okay.
about it.
Any comments or questions? Alderman Rucker.
Yes, I brought this up when this originally came down, and I guess I didn't raise enough of an issue, or I didn't keep pushing the issue, and I want to further bring it up again. I don't believe Richard Ross should be appointed to this board. I believe it should be a position, because the way I read this, if Mr. Ross is not on the Board of Aldermen, he is still a member of this organization, and it's supposed to be somebody representing the city. Not saying he wouldn't represent the city as not being an alderman, but all the other things that we've done with stuff like this, it was the president of the board. Or I suggested what we try to put into the language as time goes on, that it would be the alderman from that ward and moving forward. Again, I don't have any problem with Mr. Ross being on here. I have a problem with Mr. Ross as a citizen, but not Mr. Ross as the member of the Board of Aldermen.
Mayor, can I answer?
Please.
I could answer that. Your comments, along with another alderman's comments regarding that very thing, has not went on deaf ears. However, these CID agreements and TIF agreements are very specific, and they're case-by-case basis. So if you will notice when we did the Oasis one and it went into their TDD and CID, the language changed. So Osage Commons was done prior to a prior one, since we've had that conversation. And we actually, on our CID board, recognize that, and there are things in the bylaws of the CID boards that tackle that very thing that you're talking about. So yes, they should follow position, and I will find the bylaws, and I think that is addressed elsewhere. But when we went to do the latest and greatest one, we did make some changes immediately in that respect, along with some other ones on how the position. So it's interesting, the more I do these, and even though I'm not the lawyer in weights, but I'm never shy about sharing my opinion, because I've learned a lot of what the consequences of these agreements are on staff, like Tara talks about, and city treasurer, and myself, and God love people that come after me trying to figure them out. And everywhere, now Pruitt is done, but we've got Deerbergs, we shot Osage Beach Commons, we have Oasis now, we have Beach Drive now, we have Arrowhead. All 5 of those have different nuances, but yet the same intent in some form or fashion. So keeping them straight. Is it very interesting? And I've got my notebook just because they're differences. But what you said, the short story is, and I know Richard Ross has brought this up as well, it has been heard, but these agreements were already done. So
Can they not be modified?
Absolutely. Any
Can
agreement
we
can.
specify in our ordinance that we pass that it be the president of the board,
Well,
rather
like-
than a name.
Like any agreement or agreement that can always be modified, I will get a kind of a summary, and we can try to tackle that going forward, but it's at the point of time, so the next incentive that comes with CID and TDD, it'll even be more shored up, so.
It'd be nice if we could see, since we found a flaw, that we could maybe do whatever we can, because we're gonna be living with this for what, 20-some years?
Like I said, Alderman Rucker, I will find the bylaws to this particular one, because when we had this, that might also answer some of your questions on
Okay.
how the board operates itself.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions on this resolution? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Schuman, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. Next, we have a motion to approve citizens' appointments to the Board of Adjustments and Planning Commission. And I did receive an email from Alderman Rucker about this, and I don't know, I sent you an email back later today, and I had, sounds good to me, but if you don't mind, take this and kind of explain to them what you sent to me, please.
Yes, I agree, I concur with the appointments that the mayor has brought forth to us, but I do not concur with the terms. It's been a stickler to me for a number of years to try to follow the intent of the ordinances in each one of these positions. And the intent of our ordinance, going back to the original ordinances, is that however many people we have on the boards, that we have somebody that comes due for, their term comes due equally throughout the time. So if we have 5 members on that board and it's a 5-year term, that every year somebody would come due. So therefore, you would not end up with theoretically half of your board that would all of a sudden say, well, my term's over, I'm going to step away, and then we have a complete 50% new board. So that was the intent behind it. Unfortunately, we've gotten away from that, and it has occurred to where when somebody would be, a position would be filled, that term would not be filled for just that term expired. They would be given a 5-year term rather than maybe a 2 or 3-year term to finish out the term that they're filling. So that's what has occurred. It's been a kind of a thorn in my butt that I want to try to keep fixing it without throwing it all out. So each time that we do these things, I try to look at it to try to equal it out. And with this one here, I've done that as well. I will make it into form of a motion to explain what it is. I therefore would like to make a motion to accept the recommendations of the mayor. And I would like to have Mr. Green's term to expire. Get my notes over here, sorry. Mr. Green's term to expire in 2025. Mr. Stewart's term to expire in 2025. And Mr.
Couch.
Couch. Sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce it, excuse me. Mr. Couch's term to expire in 2028. That would, with all the rest of the positions that, and I would share this email if anybody would like, it kind of helps spread it out a little bit better.
And just to clarify too, the Planning Commission is a 4-year term, and the Board of Zoning Adjustments a 5-year term. So, and I'm in agreement with Alderman Rucker, the dates coincide, and that's a good motion.
That's an amendment motion?
Yes, but well,
Motion with amendments.
with the amendment. Any other discussion first of all?
Okay.
All right, if not, is there a motion to approve with Alderman Rucker's amendments?
So move.
Alderman Rose, is there a second? Alderman Ross, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Thank you. Will they get a letter, Tara, will they get an email and say congratulations type deal, or?
Hey, welcome to the committee.
Okay,
I'll bring each of them in and do the hour training that I do with each
Very
of
good.
them.
We'll let Carrie do the welcome to the committee.
You got it.
all right, very good, thank you. All right, next we have a motion to change the date of the January 4th, 2024 at 5:30 PM Board of Aldermen meeting to January 3rd, 2024 at 5:30. Gina Woods, please.
Let's hope Tara would just step up. We kind of tag team this little one. Well, as you know, Tara had sent an RSV request to attend the annual Lake of the Ozarks legislation reception, and I knew when we had gotten formal notice of the date that it is always something that's been, for the most part, important to all, if not most of you on the board, and you guys have already and have responded to Tara and the RSVP to attend. So formally, unless nobody's going to come to our meeting, I'm requesting really just to move it up one day. Obviously, you've got all the next week, or moving it to Tuesday is right after a holiday. So I just threw the date out there. Obviously, this is just our reasoning, one day to keep the second meeting still 2 weeks apart, but not have to have a meeting immediately after a long holiday. But that's, again, just a personal preference. So I'm offering up, moving up one day to January 3rd at 5:30, because this will be our first meeting that we officially meet at 5:30. But obviously, it's at the discretion of the board when they would like to reschedule the meeting.
All right, any comments or questions about the motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Schutman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. To January 3rd, 5:30.
5:30.
Hear that, Bob? Next, we have a motion to approve the bad debt write-off for leasing fine and Grand Glaze Airport funds in the amount of $0, water and sewer funds in the amount of $2,505, and the ambulance fund in the amount of $136,423. City Treasurer Carrie Bell, please.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. This is the annual, I like to call it full disclosure of all the activity that's gone on throughout the year, and just so that you are aware of all the accounts that have been moved over, mostly moved over to collections. In a few cases, they've been written off. The details provided just to kind of give you an idea of volume and what those look like throughout the year. The 136 appears to be a little bit lower than our historic. I am working with the billing company to make sure that we don't have some older accounts that they're running behind a little bit to move over to collections. But other than that, and if you have any questions, happy to answer those.
All right. Comments or questions from the board? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Alderman Hoffman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Schutman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next, we move on to motion to approve the purchase of a Timco, is that right, Mike? 435 regenerative air sweeper through MoDOT contract IFB 60522C002421 for an amount not to exceed $149,452. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. This purchase will be made through a cooperative bidding contract with MoDOT. It will require us to use our existing street sweeper as trade-in. We will get a $45,000 trade-in value for that. The quote for the purchase is attached. The retail price or the original cooperative bid price of the street sweeper is $194,452. After you remove the $45,000 that we get for trade-in, our price will be $149,452, which is the exact amount that was budgeted. Do kind of have to get in line to get these built, and I'd like to get us in line as quickly as we can because it takes about 8 to 10 months to build them. Jesus. And so I do recommend approval, but we would like to get approval so that we can get started with getting this one built. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, Alderman Hoffman.
You said with the old one that you had problems getting it repaired, people that could work on it. Is there a maintenance plan that comes with this one, or once we buy it, are we in the same boat?
No, this comes with a 1-year warranty that was already approved through the MoDOT contract. We have a relationship with the vendor. They have a repair shop in central Missouri, and so I don't see that there's going to be any problems with trying to do any maintenance on this machine.
Excellent, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to
Alderman
approve.
Rucker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Last item of business is motion to approve the installation of 2 Vapex odor control units from Vapex Environmental for a cost not to exceed $267,000. Mike Welty, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. As you know, we've talked about the odor control and the Vapex units a lot throughout the budget workshops and even through some of the previous meetings where we have discussed the 2024 proposed budget. The SANS unit was already approved, and I'm happy to report that it showed up via truck yesterday. And so we are already kind of digging into that, and after the holiday, we're going to try and get started on getting that installed. We do feel pretty comfortable, pretty confident that by mid-January, we'll have that up and running and going, so that's good news. There were several board members that had commented during that they wanted to kind of see that we proved that this worked before we move forward with buying the other 2, and I completely understand that. That said, I did feel obligated to bring this to you guys because if we do order these now, we do get a little bit of a discount. So if I can get these ordered tomorrow, then we can get a $5,000 discount. I do realize, though, that $5,000 in the big scheme of things is not a horribly large amount. But I wanted to make sure that I had given you guys the opportunity if you wanted to move forward with this. The direction I had got was that you guys wanted to see some proof, and I understand that, but here it is in front of you. I do recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, comments from the board, questions? Alderman Rose.
I presume you're going to designate somebody to order it tomorrow, since you won't be around?
I wondered the same thing. I was like, well, I don't know who's going to be here.
If this is approved, I will be talking to the vendor on my way home tonight.
Oh, okay. Just double checking.
All right.
Before I clock out.
I make a motion to approve.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Alderman Ross.
So if the first one doesn't work like we expect it to, we're about to purchase this without ability to send it back or refund it, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I feel real easy with that. Whatever the number is, $133,000 a piece. I have no problem with approving the budget line item, for lack of a better term, and us waiting to see if we get the results we want and then ordering. I don't think the discount is that critical in the grand scheme of things. Just my 2 cents.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yeah, is there a way to even resell them on, to another city or any way out of this? If are we just stuck with $267,000 worth of gear that doesn't work?
I have no way to truly answer that, sir.
Okay.
Probably lose your 5,000 to somebody else.
All right, any other comments?
Well, if I may.
Yes, please.
Mayor, I should have mentioned this earlier. The one thing I do want to point out, there was a slight miscommunication between me and the vendor here. And this is in my notes, but we had budgeted $125 a piece for these, and I had thought that included the enclosure, but it didn't. And so what I bring to you today, I believe, is $131,500 a piece. $133,500 a piece. So obviously, whenever we do these, we're going to have to look at whether we can find some savings elsewhere in that particular account or whatever. So I want to point that out before we go any further. But We do have to have the enclosures, and that was just kind of a miscommunication on the budgetary quote that I had first received from them because it did not include the enclosures. It was included on the one at Sands, so the one that we bought at Sands includes the enclosure. It came with it, all that's there, but I wanted to just point that out before we continue discussion. I apologize.
Mike, I have a question. So if the Vapex gets put in down at the Sands mid-January, and we find out it works great, then we order this one, it costs us $5,000 more, but how much time period we're talking about? If we waited another 2 months, would it be midsummer before we'd receive the other two?
I really can't say for sure. These quotes are good for 30 days. It's possible that the price could go up. It's possible that the price could stay exactly the same. So I don't know for sure. My instinct or my word of mouth information is that the price is going to be the same, but I can't guarantee that.
Well, I guess I was more talking about, so if the one gets installed at Sands and it's a month from now, it's operating, it's great. Well, let's go ahead and order the other one. Are we only going to miss out on a month to get the other two? How long will it take?
Oh, they can be shipped, we approved the other one on the second meeting in November, and I had it within about 3 weeks.
Okay.
So they'll be shipped pretty quickly. I don't think there will be a problem at all with that. And then usually, I mean, obviously, we're going to install one, so we're going to get a little experience on that. These can be installed rather easily. We've already walked the sites. We already know exactly what we need to do at each site. Everything is ready to go if the board chooses for me to move forward.
Alderman Rucker.
I guess my problem is what do we have to make us feel warm and fuzzy? I mean, if we put this thing, if we install the one that we have now in January, are we going to know anything in a month? Aren't we going to not know anything until the summer? That's when it really
That's right.
tells us the story. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
we've already done, I think we've done a lot, and I realize it's a lot of money, but at some point, we just have to take the leap of faith.
Yeah. Alderman Ross.
Well, I would just say that I hear what you're saying, and timing is always tough. We had a 2-week test down there, okay? And I will also say that we've had odor problems the last few weeks with the colder weather even. So I don't know that a couple of months until the 1st of March or something, we won't see some weather. I mean, we're seeing 60-degree weather in December right now. The probability that we'll see some other 50 to 60-degree weather between now and say the 1st of March I think is highly probable, but nobody can forecast the weather. So I don't know that I see a big issue with it, especially since the fact that we're seeing odor problems right now. And I think within the last 2 or 3 weeks, Mike said that we've had some reported odor problems from Sands Lift Station. So I don't know. I realize January is usually the coldest month, and so that may be a little bit of a challenge, but to wait till the 1st of March and have them in by the 1st of April, if we're seeing good results by then or if not before, I don't see a big issue with, especially because our biggest problem is Sands, and we're going to have one in there anyway.
Alderman Schuman.
So I pretty much concur with Richard. I appreciate you bringing it to us to show us that there is a discount and deadline and not just get rid of that. But I have a little bit of trouble pulling $260-some thousand on something that we're not positive if it's going to work. If it does work, great. We can get it installed in the other systems if we decide to go ahead and order it like at a later date. But I kind of feel like it's kind of hard to just pull the trigger on let's buy a bunch of these and hope that it does everything that we are wanting it to do.
And if the board so chooses, I can certainly just bring this back once I have some solid data on what the one that we are getting ready to install is doing, whether that's March 1st or April 1st or whatever. Once we have that data, I can certainly bring that back if that's what the board chooses.
Alderman Hoffman.
Yeah, I would also like to thank you for bringing it, give us an opportunity to save money. And I think we all really want to jump on the sewer as much as possible. And I think you're doing a great job of getting out in front of it as much as possible. I think with it only taking 3 weeks to get here, it seems like the window's big enough to wait on this for a month or two.
Any other comments from the board? All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
There is a motion on the
Oh,
floor
I'm
already.
sorry. I'm sorry. Alderman Morose already had the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker. Let's do a roll call, please.
Alderman Morose?
Yes.
Alderman Ross?
No.
Alderman Rucker?
Yes.
Alderman Schuman?
No.
Alderman Hoffman?
No?
Alderman Osteen?
All right, motion does not carry.
Okey-dokey.
Thank you, Mike, though. I think the board's consensus is they see how this one goes and then bring it back, so, yeah.
Exactly what I'm gonna do.
All right, now we're gonna move on to department update list. Start with the city administrator, Gina Woods, please.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. First off, I would like to recognize 2 of our employees, and building official Ron White is absent tonight, but he, next week, will hit his 20-year service anniversary. And Chief Davis, 2 weeks ago, hit his 30-year service. So I want to recognize both of those for the end of the year. I do have one update on the update list. Kevin and I've now officially pushed my work off to Kevin, which wasn't quite in November, but we're still working on the capital replacement plan for the joint sewer plant. And why that's important for Osage Beach, obviously we're half owners in that entity, and I appreciate Kevin's love of numbers like I do. And when we're long and gone, like we talk about, at least there's some kind of financial reserve plan that's probably would do us some good. So we're making a little progress on that. Second thing, I will see you next year. I will be on vacation, as well as several people around this time take extra days and stuff off, so it might be very quiet if you call or come by City Hall. It's actually the best time to actually work that week because so many people are gone. So either way, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and like the mayor said earlier, we'll see you January 3rd at 5:30.
All right, thank you. Assistant City Administrator Mike Welty.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have an update to share with the board. I want to make sure the board is aware of an issue that happened a couple of weeks ago. I believe it was Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, December the 9th. Around mid-afternoon, we had an unfortunate incident on the Parkway where we had a local contractor hit the 16-inch sewer pressure main that goes along the Parkway. It was a very unfortunate event, and we struggled very mightily to stay on top of it. I am happy to report that the spills were just minor, but it did take us 4 days, and I required Gina to give her emergency purchase approval. We got to a point where the ditch was too deep, and we did not have the equipment to safely, fix the problem. So we had recently got approval for Stockman to do the Sands sewer project, and so since they were the most recently approved vendor for a sewer project, I reached out to them very quickly. Thankfully, they were willing to help. They came on site the very next morning, and in about 3 hours, because they have the wherewithal and the equipment, they were able to fix it for us pretty quickly. The cost ended up being $13,500, which we will be able to absorb within our repair to system. Unfortunately, we had to pump and haul the entire time because obviously we've got a hole where the sewer main was. Not going to give you a bunch of details there. So we pumped and hauled. We had to pump and haul for several days, and unfortunately, when it rains, it pours. That the day that we got it fixed, we had 2 other serious large stations go down, which also required some pumping and hauling. So I don't have any of those invoices yet. I can tell you that it will be expensive, but I can also tell you that in my conversations earlier with Gina, we believe that it can be absorbed into the sewer budget as it exists right now. It might require us to move some money between accounts, but but we're not going to go over budget or anything before it or require any reserve funds or anything like that. But I felt it was important that I make sure that the board was aware of that. I know I think I've spoke to a couple of you about it anyway, but I'm sure you saw all the commotion there over that weekend and just wanted to report that to you guys. Other than that, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and can't wait for next year.
Alderman Schuman.
Quick question, was this the one over here on the west side, kind of across from, like, not across from Pizza Hut and all that, but the
The Elks.
Osage Hills and all that?
Yes.
Or-
Church and Elks.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know where the outdoor ice machine sits there?
Yeah, okay. That's
So
what I
there's
thought. I
that
saw all that
valley, and then
going
just on the other side of that
Yeah.
valley is where it happened, yeah.
Yeah, right by us.
We closed the lane for like a day and a half.
Oh, yeah. Between that and Ameren all in there, that's been a very interesting thing. So quick question, in that, so if a contractor hit our main, but we're paying for the,
Technically,
I just
when
didn't know
all
how
the
that worked.
details all the details settle, yes. The short answer is anytime we have a vendor mess up that they can be charged time and materials for fixing that.
Okay, I have a question on that one.
Alderman Ross.
My understanding is we marked it and it wasn't where it was
Well, I
supposed to
wasn't
be.
giving details on this particular situation. If,
Oh, I'm
if
sorry.
research
Okay.
happens, yes, it is practice for time and materials to be charged. However, if we have some fault that we own up to, then that is not the case.
okay.
Got it.
Just to clarify, we're figuring out if we are at fault or not, and if they're at fault, then we'll.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Very good. City. Good question. Well, who is next? City Clerk, Tara Barrett.
Thanks, yeah, there. I've got an update on the code codification. I got a lengthy email, almost gave me a heart attack. We got 344 questions to answer. Yeah, that's the look I got, Kelly. I was a little sick until I had a Zoom meeting today and feel much better. Now I gotta pass it off to the department heads and it's gonna be so much easier. And yeah, so Cole and Gina and I, and we'll get together and get with the department heads after the first of the year and we'll get that all lined out. And we have until May 8th to get it all finalized and we'll bring it to you guys probably, I'm hoping by June. And we'll get it all wrapped up in a nice little bow and.
They also told her we had one of the largest code books.
Yes, oh my goodness, yes, she goes 1,211 pages, holy cow, oh my, Mom. Yes, we have an ordinance for everything, so, but she said it's a very large code, so, just want to give you an update that that is coming along, and, we were gonna start working on that, and management team is gonna just love me after the first of the year.
When in doubt, delegate.
Oh boy, let me tell you, she goes, well, you can answer and read all 344 questions, I said, yeah, no, nope.
All right.
But that's what we're doing, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm working on another ordinance change.
You didn't mind, Kevin. We already talked about yours.
They know we have an Alderman Rucker, I mean.
All of these changes are more statute changes, the ones that we're doing, so we'll work.
Add yours to the list.
Yeah, you just, yeah, we'll work on that later.
City Treasurer, Carrie Bell.
I have a little bit of good news to share. During the month of December, just a day ago, we made our final SRF payment on our 2003 bonds.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, this is all reflected in your budget and everything, but, so in combination with that, and then last year, it was a 2002. So your 2002 and your 3 represent 98% of your water system that was started in the late 90s is basically paid for. There's a small little piece in the 2007, but that represented, those two combined was $30,660,000 in principal at the time those were issued. So we've come a long way in 20 years, and I was very happy to get to be the one to push that last payment button. Tara seconded the signature for me. Just wanted to share a little good news right here at the end of the year. Thank you all. It's been a great year. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy.
All right, thank you very much. All right, City Attorney Cole Bradbury.
I have just a couple of quick updates. One, once Gina gets back from her well-earned vacation/budget hangover, she and I are going to be working on gathering some data to evaluate some of the sewer issues in Tantera Estates. That's near the top of our list. I will be working next week, and I'm looking forward to no one else being here so I can get a bunch of stuff done.
It is the
No
best week to
offense to
work.
those of you on vacation, but good riddance. And just wanted to point out, there is a closed session on the agenda. We will not be utilizing that tonight. I had called for that, and the need for it has at least been delayed. So that can go away. And last, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody, and we'll see most of you next year.
Very good, thank you. Chief Davis.
Well, what Tara neglected to say is she's gonna be pawning most of that codification stuff off on Cole and I think.
Gary Patterson is not void.
Get me out of this. Gary's is first, and then you got police, and then it's me and Cole. So.
It's good to be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Tara needed help to, pawn stuff off on the.
What does Public Works say rolls downhill?
But our new police officer started yesterday, Cale Kegel. He's fresh out of the academy, graduated last Thursday, started with us, so we're already had him out getting his feet wet the last couple of days, so he's doing well. It's been a long but challenging and fun 30 years, so got a few more in me, I guess.
I thought you'd have more spicy words to say.
No, but great people to work with. I've had the opportunity to work 5 different mayors. I think we figured out while we're in here a little bit ago, and a whole bunch of different board members. So
Who's your favorite?
and staff? Of course, I'm going to say you, right? No, it's been neat. Watch the city change. Watch it grow. We started out in the old city hall that got condemned when we were in it. Yeah. Had some lightning strikes, and it was watch the flames fly out of the sockets. And
You think we still have some furniture left from the old city hall here?
in this building,
I was just curious.
I don't think so.
Hope not.
I think we left it all. I mean, everything.
Whoops, forgot it.
So, but, yeah. Everybody wish Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe on your travels and such.
Did you make it to Buc-ee's when you picked up the officer?
No, unfortunately, I had a family emergency last week, so I did not get to go. So, but,
We started to make a trip to it, and the traffic was backed up to the interstate. We were like,
yeah.
I made it. It's
nope, we got
awesome.
too many kids with us.
Very good, thank you much. All right, Airport, Ty Dinsdale.
Yeah, the Lacey Fine roof project, it was completed this week, so everything looks good.
Sweet.
And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. And, just on a quick note, I sit here in a lot of these meetings, and I hear you aldermen praise the staff, which, I mean, it's not me, but the staff. Wonderful people to work with. But thank you, aldermen, too, for all the work you guys do. Have a good year.
Appreciate it.
Man, don't call on me next. All right, Michael Ray, Human Resource.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. January is going to kick off our annual employee evaluation season, so we'll have that coming up here soon. The retirement workshop is still scheduled for January 11th, now 5:30. And I threw a few little numbers together for you, just since this is the last board meeting of the year. For calendar year 2023, we've had 15 full-time hires and 22 separations. Of those full-time separations in 23, 15 were voluntary. We had 7 terminations. And of these 22, 18 had completed their probationary period. I'll be giving these numbers to Gina so she can add those to her metric report. And if you have any questions on those, just let me know. Merry Christmas and have a safe New Year.
All right, thank you much. Eric Gregory, Parks.
Thank you, Mayor. The Parks Department's been busy. We are working on landscape projects, babysitting very temperamental and moisture-sensitive holiday lights. And we are working on a trail project around the pond for better fishing access. That's been a lot of work, but reminded us how out of shape we all are. And obviously, working on a new contract for next year. So I would like to thank the Eldon Parks and Recreation Department. In the off-season, I try to take the parks team to a different parks department in a town within an hour or so, just to see what they're doing, network, get some new ideas. They were very gracious. I would like to point out they have 4 parks and 11 playgrounds and roughly the same size, so we need to step up our game. And other than that, happy holidays and look forward to next year.
All right, thank you much. City Planner, Kerry Patterson.
Yes, I appreciate the board appointing the new members to the Planning Commission and BZA. BZA is probably the most important in that, you know, they're a required 5-member group and have to have 4 to make a decision, which we did yesterday with just 4. And fortunately, it went through fine and very well, but that can get kind of sketchy when you have one that your alternate's in Texas for 4 months every year. I'll bring them in before their first meeting, each of them, and have a little training session that I have with everyone, give them their comprehensive plan, and we'll go from there. And yes, the state does like to change statutes on the land use side of things, so every once in a while, we get to go through and, you know, dig through some concepts on those things. So, but I'm looking forward to that too. Anyway, so Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you much. Alderman Rucker.
Yes, Mayor and members board, a couple of things. First of all, Happy New Year's to everybody and Merry Christmas. Have a safe holiday. The other thing is I would like for Gina to consider next year's budget to add another session so that we don't have all the changes after the draft has been done. I think it would behoove us to maybe meet one more time, and that way we could bring those things to her. She did a lot of work on draft 2. The board made some changes, and so I think to help her workload out, I think that would be beneficial if we do that. Last item I have is Mr. Schmidt, Ron, you got your hearing aids in? Yeah. Can you stand up, please? I would just like to recognize Mr. Ron Schmidt. For those of you who may not know it, Ron has been on the Osage Beach Special Road District since 2006. Ron has resigned and is stepping away as of the first of the year. I'm privileged to that information, being my wife is the executive director, or whatever she is of that. But Ron has been there since 2006, served that organization. And for those of you who don't know, it is no pay, no pay at all. And Ron has put his hours and time in. He's kept my wife in line, which that's a challenge. And I just want to say, Ron, thank you. I know you served many years as an alderman. I don't know exactly how many, but a lot of those years as an alderman. So thank you for your service over and above your military service. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alderman Schuman.
Yes, I just wanted to thank the staff as well as all the volunteers and committee members and everything for a great 2023. It's been at times challenging year, but really great, and I appreciate everybody's effort and time that they put into it. Have enjoyed the holiday lights. That has become actually part of our family tradition to go through that a couple times a year. It's really easy to reward the kids with that. And they love it, and it's been great. Some of those LEDs the new ones are very bright. So if you haven't seen the new installments, they're really nice. And congratulations to the service anniversaries that we had. 30 years is a long time. We won't go over ages. No. But thank you. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Have a safe and good New Year. Everybody keep mindful of traffic and travel during these times. And thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Hoffman.
I'd like to echo what you just said. Congratulations to Chief. I did make it to Buc-ee's. The chopped brisket sandwich and the Texas Philly cheesesteak burrito, top notch. it's worth going. I would like to echo what Alderman Rucker said. I thought the budget process wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be worse. I really appreciate the staff's hard work on it. I would like to see us have a little more time to dive into it. Maybe that doesn't need the whole staff to be there. Maybe it's just a time allotted for us to get together. Not sure about that, but I do agree with Alderman Rucker on that. Eric, one thing I'm going to be pushing for this year is I would really like to see a dog park in Osage Beach. I've had so many people come up and ask me about it. Is it in our master plan? Can we put one somewhere? I really liked our initial idea about putting one back behind City Hall. So I defer to you as to where it should go, but I really think it's a valuable asset to Osage Beach. So it will be something I will be bringing up a lot.
Add it to the budget.
It's not in the budget.
Well, I have a plan for you, so.
Okay.
Let's not do that now, but okay. Okay, but I think you and I are both on board with that anyway. But and lastly, I would really like to thank the staff and the board and the mayor, everyone. It's been my first year. I've enjoyed it. I really like working with the people here in Osage Beach. I've found it to be rewarding and mostly fun. And when it's not fun, it's spirited. So it's been a good first year, and I look forward to next year being nothing but sky's the limit for Osage Beach. So thank you all very much, and have a very merry and safe Christmas and New Year.
Thank you. Alderman Rose.
Well, just to keep echoing, congratulations, Chief.
Thank you.
And also, Ron, you've been a great asset to our city, that's for sure. Just nothing other than just wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and hope that next year will not be encumbered with a lot of problems. We always say that. We don't know what's going to happen with our economy. And of course, you keep reading the news. You don't want to read it, but anyway, let's just pray that all will go well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderman Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to recognize the sewer, crew that was down at the end of Lakehurst Circle, which actually is into Osage Beach Road. It's kind of funny how that all lays out. But we had a sewer break down there. I know in talking with Mike over the last week or two, it's been pretty challenging in the sewer department. We've lost a couple employees, and a lot of things have happened we never expected to happen, and they did a great job. And some really good friends of mine that are down there, actually they were sitting on the driveway with a cooler of beer and a couple of watching it being done, and they were just happy as the world. I told them we didn't charge for entertainment, but anyway, they did a great job, and I know those guys are challenged, and it wasn't our people with a cooler of beer, it was the neighbors, okay? It was 60-some degrees. Nothing better to do. They're retired, I guess, and so anyway, those guys were doing a great job, and I know that they've been challenged. I want to, for the folks of staff that are here tonight, I want to apologize. I realize that you all start your Christmas holiday as soon as this meeting's over. And the fact that I didn't recognize that we were going to have a meeting on a Thursday night before our holiday started, and we should have probably thought to move that. So I hope that in the future I think of that, or someone else does, because I don't think that we should have a meeting till 8 or 9 o'clock at night right before a holiday. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. For those of you that didn't need to be here, I sure appreciate you being here, though. With that, appreciate everything everybody does. Merry Christmas, and hope everybody enjoys a lot of family and food over the holidays and has a safe time. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you very much. And I don't have much, but that did remind me of an old Dogwood comic from years ago where he was having his lunch and he sits out on the step and he watches these construction workers. And the very next clip, it shows him back at his desk with the construction workers sitting around his desk watching him work at the computer. But no, I don't have much tonight. Congratulations, Chief and Ron White, 30 years, and really appreciate it. Now that I've kind of settled into this role, I like it. I always say it's kind of like family. We're not going to always get along. We're not going to always agree, but we do, I think, a pretty good job, both staff and board. If we disagree on one thing, we don't let it affect the next thing to work for the common good. So I appreciate that from everybody here. In fact, I found out today, I told Gene, I said, the cheese store's been busy, I've been delivering baskets, and I said, I may or may not be here tomorrow.
I looked at
And,
him and I'm like,
and she said, well, if
"Oh."
you are here, you're gonna be the only one. I said, we get the day off? I had forgotten, so.
I thought he was
Yeah.
tricking me.
And the only other thing I have, is safe travels. This is a very important time if you're traveling to see family and friends, and take care of each other. Try to watch the road rage, because this is a spiritual time. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to everyone. So with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Rucker, is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Hoffman, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion, meeting adjourned.
You're welcome.
Not much room left on our tree for.
That's right.
We'll find a place to stuff it in there.
See you next year.